As it is. You know, New Year rolls around and we all make resolutions. And I hope that you have made some that were very realistic and very attainable, but that push you and stretch you and cause you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, but something that you can accomplish so that you take that stride, you feel good about yourself. I know for myself, I'm always preaching this message about goals and setting standards for yourself and trying to accomplish the greatness that's within you. So yesterday, actually, I sat down and made my goals for 2006. And I didn't just throw a bunch of junk on paper, or as it were on the computer. I actually sat down and thought about each area of my life and what my values are and what my priorities are. And I listed them in order, from most important to least important. And then I went down and I was specific. I used this framework, the SMART goal, SMART reference, and being specific, measurable, action oriented, realistic, and time activated. And I made sure that all my goals fit that category, because you know what? If we put something on paper and we write our goals on paper, that gives it it gives it strength, we've made a commitment. So I encourage you, if you haven't done it yet, number one, sit down and take some time. I think it only took me like 45 minutes to do it from start to finish, because I was focused. I knew what I wanted. But here's the thing, don't write down something just for the sake of writing it down. Spend some time, think about it. Think about the areas in your life that are truly important, and then this is the time of year to, trim the fat, prune down the things in your life that have no place. For Christmas, I got the book, A Purpose-Driven Life, and I've always heard about that book, and I've always meant to check it out or buy it and read it, but I never did. And my wife gave it to me as a gift, and she knew, especially with the college audio that I was laying down, that was kind of where my mindset was, and so it'd be a good book. So she got it for me, and I've been digging into it, and it's been a really good read. But one thing that I learned just out of the first few chapters is, you know what? There's a lot of things in our life that can be robbing us of our time, taking our focus away from the things that matter most. And this is a great time of year to sit down and, you know what, figure out what those things are. Like I said, trim the fat, let's prune the hedges, and let's get back to the things that matter most. The things that matter most to you. I mean, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, what is going to make a big difference? Okay? When, it's like Dr. Stephen Covey says in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and as other people have said, think to the end of your life, and you're sitting there on your deathbed. I know that's kind of morbid, so I apologize, but I don't mean that you're dying of some terminal illness. I just mean that you've lived a full life, and it's your time to check out. When you look back over your life, what's going to matter the absolute most? What will you have been most proud of accomplishing, or what will you most regret not having accomplished? Well, I can tell you this, spending time with the people that matter most, especially if you're a parent and a spouse, you need to take that time, and you need to realize that that's key. And that's That's one of the most important things you can do with your life, is pour your life, as I've said in past podcasts, into the lives of other people. And the main people are your family, your friends, and your children. So I encourage you, sit down, find out what's important in your life. Don't shortcut this process. Make resolutions, yes, but more importantly, make commitments. And make sure that whenever you make those commitments, that they're realistic. Yeah, they may stretch you a little bit, but let's be real with each other, okay? I'll give you an example. I can't remember if I heard this on a podcast or I was reading or something. No, actually, here's what it was. I was sitting down and I was having lunch with my dad, and we were just talking about a whole bunch of different things, and just got on the subject of food and what was bad for you and what was good for you. And he started talking about a guy that he worked with who was really into the health thing, and he was trying to eat right and do what was right for his heart, because he had a history of heart disease and heart attack at young ages in his family. And one thing that I locked on that he was talking about was the guy was telling him that, you know what, he disciplines himself during the week. He eats things that are good for him. He eats things that, don't contribute to heart disease and things that won't make him fat. And he really adheres to that strictly during the week. But on the weekend, he allows himself flexibility to splurge. It does two things. Number one, it gives him the ability to stick with the diet. And he's not going all out and just blowing it out on the weekends. He's doing it in moderation. He's watching his portions. He's not being excessive. But you know what? He's saying, on the weekend, I'm going to indulge. And you know what? I said, I can do that. So that's the resolution I made for health, was to, be very strict about what I ate, portion control, and eating things that I know that are good for my heart and my weight, and committing to an exercise routine, drinking 8 glasses of water a day, and things that I know that I'm capable of accomplishing that may stretch me a bit, but things that I know that I can accomplish, because you know what? I want to feel better about who I am. I want to discipline myself to achieve and to accomplish, but I have to take small, realistic steps, and I have to be willing to sacrifice some things so that I can accomplish that which I say is important. So I hope that wasn't too much of a hodgepodge. The point being is that this is a new year. It's a clean slate. It's a fresh start for all of us. Take advantage of it. And within the next few days, if not, no later than this weekend, I'd like to challenge you and encourage you and invite you to sit down, take some time, sit down with your computer and a cup of coffee, and figure out what is most valuable in your life. And then based on that, maybe it's one thing, maybe it's 3 things. It really shouldn't be any more than 5. And sit down and set some smart goals and make some plans to make 2006 better than 2005. I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to say goodbye. Before I do, though, I want to make mention of this, and I hope they're listening. There were 3 listeners that responded to me since my last podcast and gave me some feedback. Number 1 was Stacy. I'm not sure where she's from. She didn't want to say, and that's okay. And she said that she was enjoying the podcast. Stacy, I hope you're still listening. I'm glad you're listening. Please continue to listen. But she had an issue with some of the podcasts being the volume level being low. And so if you're facing that challenge too, I apologize, and I'm doing everything I can to correct the situation. I was aware of it. I had to tweak my software a little bit to get it up to the level it needed to be. So thank you, Stacy, for that heads up. I really appreciate that and value your comments. Please feel free to email me anytime you'd like.